So welcome to Bonehead. We're starting this episode with James actually upping and leaving. He's had
Upping and leaving.
Yep.
Upping and leaving.
Upping and leaving.
Upping and leaving.
Better than downing and staying.
Well, for James.
Welcome to Bonehead.
Welcome to Bonehead.
So James is left.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. He
That's
can't hear
okay.
us. We don't care.
Is that Widow's Peak?
Yeah, what is that?
What is that getting further back? Year by year, son.
Your audio's on, James. You got to bring that microphone down.
There you go.
I know. I had it muted. Turns out I hoped it would mute you all, but it don't do that. Don't do that nary a bit good.
Very bit good. So, really quick, I want to give a shout out to Mick Strawn for one, going on record and promising me an interview with Jeff Burr, the director of Leatherface, and from A Whisper to a Scream, Courtney Joyner, our friend, also wrote that movie. Jeff Burr directed it.
Yeah.
Jeff Burr won't return my messages. He says he can make this happen. So, Mick, on the record, I'm holding you to it, especially since you're coming up to invade my house eventually. Second, thanks so much for telling us our 1989 episode was good. I appreciate that. We didn't know how it would go.
And third,
And I haven't listened to it. Have you?
No.
I got about.
I put it together. And I haven't
No,
listened to it.
I listened to about 45 minutes of it today as I was sitting around working on
How was it?
paper. I actually was sitting there going, yeah, this isn't bad. But then I looked down and I was like, it's an hour and 45 minutes, right? Like I was like 45 minutes in. I'll break this up and I'll listen to some more tomorrow.
Well, back in the day when Haley produced, we would break that up into 2 episodes, but fuck it.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
right. I mean, Joe Rogan do 3 hours. We're more important than Joe Rogan. No.
You know what? I think if Joe Rogan disagrees, he should appear on our show and argue with us.
That's for damn sure. You hear me, Joe Rogan? I will see you in the octagon. Please don't let him hurt me. Please don't. He would kill me.
Oh my God! Should we tag Joe Rogan when this comes out? Tag his podcast and see what
He
happens.
won't do it.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, and I'm sure
He's like, I don't have anything to prove. I
He
was in
has-
news radio.
Yeah, that's actually
he was in news
a
radio.
great show.
It is a good show.
Oh, Phil Hartman.
Not that he needs any more viewers. There's about 20 or 30 minutes of his latest one with Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith's been on there before, where Kevin tells a story about Joe he written something for Joe Rogan for Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yep.
And he went to the manager, and the manager said, Joe doesn't want to do this. And he's like, fuck manager. Joe's my buddy.
Yeah.
So he texts him, and Joe's like, I hate that acting. I hate that fucking acting shit. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
At least, and Kevin was on his show laughing. He goes, and he goes, no. It's totally you.
Yeah.
And how many seasons is he on news radio?
All of them, except he wasn't on the pilot episode.
Is he not on the pilot?
No, it was another guy.
Hmm.
Oh, man, he was in a few things, too, and I'm blanking on what he was. I want to say, was he the host? The guy who Joe Rogan replaced was the host of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the game show? Maybe.
Oh, no,
I'll
we'll
have to look it
Google
up. Anyway,
This isn't about Joe Rogan.
welcome to Bonehead. So no, real quick, I'm wearing my DuckTales shirt because of this is the week that Disney Plus was released, and Joe has some complaints. I don't know. Do you want to get into them, or do you want me to?
My real complaint is this.
You shouldn't be looking at Facebook.
Well, yeah, considering most of our followers follow us on Facebook.
Well, yeah,
But that's besides the
you
point.
can post things and not actually read what. But go ahead.
Well, I have to read. It entices me. Jeff Zuckerberg knows what I want, and he knows how to deliver the manna. Anyway, so here's what pisses me off. Christy was kind enough to buy a 3-year subscription, right? She got a deal through her Disney card. I'm not mad at her. I'm not upset with her.
Yeah.
She put in her email, and now we can't log on because we don't have anything.
Right.
And because there were some issues with it,
Mhm.
she was on hold the other day for 4 hours.
Mhm.
And this is a time of the year where she's the busiest. So it's not
Right.
like a bunch of us have time. Like, I just got home 30 minutes before you got here, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Get this done. So I haven't seen The Mandalorian, the first 2 episodes or any of it, even though I have a 3-year, I have access to a 3-year subscription. And every fucking thing has been ruined with that Baby Yoda shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what though? I'll be honest.
It's
I
not
haven't
ruined.
watched.
I'll be fine. But
No, and I haven't got to watch it yet because I made a deal with my wife because I make poor decisions.
you obviously made a deal with the devil.
I make poor decisions in life. And I know she'll never see this, so I can say whatever I want.
I'll give Christy credit. She may, and I don't think she watches them all. She used to, or listen to them all. But she actually has heard, because I've gotten some feedback on some comments.
I've got some notes.
Did you give them to her?
Yeah, I gave her notes. I'm like, here, let's
That asshole said this about you in episode 10.
let's fuck with Joe. I got that kind of.
No, but I literally, because I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and sign up for it because I made her a deal. Basically, she pays for Hulu, and I said, wait a second, we can get the bundle with Hulu and ESPN Plus for $12.99 a month. I was like, what are you paying for Hulu? And she goes, I think it's $7.99. I'm like, well, I'll get ESPN Plus free, which I'll never probably use that much, but I'll have it. And so I'll take over that bill, and you can get. And she literally said, that's great. Let's take care of that when you're in for Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm just sitting by myself all the time. Could be
Unable
watching.
to watch The Black Hole.
Yeah. By the way, somebody on Twitter, and I should remember who it was, because it was actually somebody that writes screenplays, actually posted a screenshot of The Black Hole, and it's one of the special effects scenes. They said, you know what? It's a beautiful film.
It is a beautiful film.
You know
I
what?
like the music
uneven.
too.
And I was like, yeah, it is. That's the screenshot they took.
I
I was
like
like,
the cast.
You know what? I have never seen it. It's on my queue to watch.
You really should watch
I'm
it.
going to. It's like number 2 on my list. You know what I did watch?
What?
Mr. Boogedy. That does not hold up.
Well, here's what I told you.
And
I watched
Mr.
it 2 years
Boogedy's only in it for like 5 minutes.
And but Richard Masur is in it.
Yeah, I know. I
But
love him.
He's a treat.
Yes. And Christy Swanson.
Oh, I met Christy Swanson.
Mm.
She took a nice picture with me. She was very sweet to me. She's a little
She-
conservative, bug fuck crazy, but
Yeah.
when she took the picture with
Really got to
you,
get into the topic of the
we
show.
do. But I'm having fun.
Okay.
Do we need,
When
do
she
do
took
we
the-
really? I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
This is free.
It's our shit.
What are they going to do?
Yeah, nobody's listening anyway.
Motherfuckers are supposed to be talking about beep.
when Joe when she took the
Wait,
picture,
you said motherfucker, but bleep the topic of the show?
Yeah, I don't
well,
want
he's building suspense.
Again, it's in the title of the show that we watch.
Well, they may not be listening.
Anyway, Joe, when she took that photo, did she happen to follow it up by saying this will be something I can turn over to the authorities?
No, she was actually very sweet. I did her panel at Scarefest a couple years. She was very sweet, actually. But Mr. Boogedy and Boogedy Returns,
Bride of Boogedy. And
Bride of Boogedy,
it's
whatever.
not. That's not on Disney Plus for some reason.
That one's not.
That's not.
You know, so Mr. Boogedy, I remembered it being longer, but it's only like 45
it's
minutes.
only 45 minutes.
What else you need to watch about is Mick Garris's directorial debut, a piece of shit called
Fuzz Bucket.
Fuzz Bucket.
He even posted the other day going, I don't know.
I can't make myself. I'll watch it eventually, but again, that we bought this. I bought it for the kids, but shit, I've been watching all of Darkwing Duck since I got it.
Well, and that's what somebody
Gargoyles,
actually-
right?
Yeah, Gargoyles may be next. After I finish Darkwing Duck. Is it going to be Gargoyles or is it going to be Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers? This is the struggle of my life.
Well, I'm going to be
You don't
honest
have
with
any
you. By the way,
Yeah, I'm good.
Gargoyles was twinning marriage.
Yeah, because they're not
Twinning.
censoring it.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, that's really great. But speaking of DuckTales,
I can't believe they have Mr. Boogedy and not the
Bride
Mr.
of Boogedy.
Yeah.
I know. It boggles the
Look,
mind.
Joe,
Actually, I saw
listen.
Bride of Boogedy first.
I did too.
listen, if you put all your
Boogedy boo!
No, it's Boogedy Boogedy Boo. Fuck, Joe.
I'm not allowed to improvise.
if you put all your best racehorses on the same track, Joe, you're just going to beat yourself. You hold that second stallion back. 6 months in, when people are like, well, I've watched everything I want to watch, that's when you drop Bride of Boogedy.
Maybe.
That's
Keep
what
them
that joke
from
was about. Oh,
Actually, Riff Track.
Uh-oh.
no, I'm good.
You sure?
For our audience who may be watching or
Please
listening,
watch YouTube so you can see my reaction.
I've had a bit of a virus bug stomach thing.
And people-
If you watch the Scarefest reviews, you're like, why isn't Joe in his shirt and things and shit? And it's because I was on this couch. I raised up and thought, I got 20 minutes before I have to go do speeches. And I was green, by the way, when I was
Yeah.
sitting in the back of the class. They were going, Jeff, I was like, doing this. Wrap it up, bitches. Wrap it up. I raised up to do that and went back down. Anyway, I did see something I liked while I was off for a day.
What's up?
S. Craig Zawars, the guy that did Bone Tomahawk. And,
Brawl and Cell Block 99.
yeah. Have you guys, either one of you, seen Dragged Across Concrete?
No,
with Mel
God, I
Gibson
want
and
to.
Vince Vaughn?
No, I want to so
It
bad.
is 2 hours and almost 40 minutes long.
Seriously? Damn.
And there's a scene with Jennifer Carpenter that you think is going to go one place and it goes another way that you could have cut from the movie.
I guess Jennifer Carpenter is this guy's ingenue now.
No, he says it's somebody else. But anyway,
That's my favorite type.
I
of
recommend it.
sandwich.
It's not as bloody as some of the other ones, specifically Cell Block 99. But I don't know that he's a great filmmaker, but he has a distinct voice. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
And I recommend it. I know it's a 2 hours, and it's really 2 hours 30, but with credits, it's almost 40.
Mhm.
It's a commitment, but it all comes together. You're like, where in the hell? And then there's another scene, and I don't know. He's like the conservative.
I was going
redneck.
to go see Motherless Brooklyn because somebody said you should really watch that because they know I like noir films and stuff like that. I kid you not, I went to the theater to buy, and I was at the theater. Said, "Can I get a ticket for Motherless Brooklyn?"
Excuse me.
We don't show that at showing, sir. I literally had it on my phone. I'm like, it's showing here, and she literally goes back to the computer, going, "We show a 350 showing." Your website said, "Sir, it's just not in the computer." So I'm like, "Okay." So I left because she literally goes, "I can't sell you a ticket because it's not in the computer, but we have the film, but it's not in the computer as us having a showtime, so I can't sell a ticket." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
I'm sure that's all programmed anyway. It's not like they send film canisters anymore.
Well, that's what I mean. So I was like, okay. And I actually wasn't upset because I'm like, and the reason I was seeing it at that time was that was the only time.
I just think it's great. We haven't even got to the topic yet.
It was the only time I could see it because on Thursday night, they canceled it to show The Twilight Zone.
Fandango.
Not Fandango. Phantom.
Fandango.
Phantom.
Fandango sells tickets, but Phantom Entertainment.
Fandango is a movie with Kevin Costner. Fuck you.
Grim Fandango is a video game by Lucas Arts.
All right, cut.
Yeah.
What's
Anyway,
our topic, Chad?
So I wanted to see Motherless Brooklyn.
Well, since we're talking about Disney, sorta, we kind of screened for Disney, but Disney is known for
Animation.
but that animation contains
Animals.
cells.
Fucking animals.
that sing. We're talking about musicals.
Woo!
Why
Took
not
us a
look at
while
the
to get
microphone?
there because you enjoy looking at it.
Bonehead is alive.
Oh, this is a
Sound,
moniker that is thrown at me quite a bit, but everybody's like, oh, you must love horror. I do like horror films. I love horror films, but they are not my favorite genre.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think my favorite genre.
You talk about horror a lot, though.
but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
I probably like dark
He
fantasy.
prefers the fast-paced world of adult literature.
And I don't know that there's a horror film that's in maybe The Thing that's even in my top 5.
Okay.
You know?
Not Evil Dead.
I mean, it's a great movie. Sam Raimi's my favorite director. But Jesus, I know Evil Dead 2 is technically a horror film.
Yeah, that's a comedy.
But it's like Kevin Smith when he calls Yoga Hosers and Red State horror films. Like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
No, I'm not pissing on Red State. Red State.
Red State's a good movie.
But Yoga Hosers is not.
No, it's dreadful. But
And
and
this is
Tusk
coming
is
from-
also not a horror film.
No,
I just don't think they're.
I don't
horror
think it
films.
either.
But anyway,
Anyway,
I get this a lot. I like good movies. The three
Yeah.
of us like good movies.
Yeah.
Now,
I have a
We
hard
may
time
disagree on what what good movies are.
we
Yeah.
all three do disagree about that, which
Yeah.
is what makes the show not suck too bad. Probably, hopefully, here's praying. But people are like, you don't love romantic comedies. I'm like, no, all three of us probably have romantic comedies on our top 10 list of favorite
Yeah.
movies, or at least one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The same thing with what's another one that we probably get shit on? Romantic comedies. just romance films. There would be a one or two. I love.
I'm going to go ahead and say there's one particular, and it's very particular type of film that I've never found one that I did like.
What?
Merchant Ivory films, and I said it's not even a genre.
I even liked
It's Merchant Ivory films.
A Room with a View. I watched A Room with a View a few months ago, and
is that a sequel to A View to a Kill?
No, it's a little different than that.
Huh.
But it has more penises.
So anyway, where were you getting at about musicals, by the way?
Are you sure?
Yeah, it has a few more penises than A View to a Kill, as I recollect. There's a dick. Oh my God, we should do the 007 thing where it lands on a penis. I would giggle my ass off. So what I'm getting to is that I think people would be shocked that we're doing an episode about musicals.
Right.
Now, Chad, musicals are your least favorite genre.
So you know what? I'm going to correct myself on that because
Good, because you've actually said it.
I know I have said it. I've said it numerous times.
You went on record.
Yeah.
David,
Marriage.
So, but no,
Oh,
musicals I have thought is my least favorite genre. But then I was doing research for this movie.
Yeah. Which movie?
The show. There's 10.
Which show?
I was able to come up with 10 movies. Now, granted, I'm not a fan of the musicals from the.
You're not a Busby Berkeley fan?
No, from the 40s, 50s, 60s.
What do you got? What's wrong with James Cagney?
You don't like Cagney? He danced.
No, I can't get into those movies.
What about Busby Berkeley?
Sound of Music, I think, is dreadful.
I think Sound of. You know who else thinks dreadful? Who thinks it's dreadful?
Who?
Christopher Plummer.
Those types of movies.
It's true. Look it up,
Yeah.
right, James? It's Google.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't like the movie.
And
Preferred to be Chancellor Gorkon. over
Yeah, he
being-
would prefer Star Trek 6 over the Sound of Music.
And I
prefer the Star Trek 6.
honestly, a lot of the songs in the Disney movies that are famous annoy the hell out of
Like
me.
what?
Like the song from Snow White.
Yeah, well,
that Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, I like that. But Sleeping Beauty is my favorite fairy tale.
So, by the way, we are going to do I wanted to run an episode topic by them. I think we should do one on Disney villains at some point.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
Maleficent is amazing.
Yes.
Not Angelina Jolie.
No.
Not that I have a thing against that. I actually think.
Have you
she's
seen? And real quick, people may enjoy this if finish watching our show first. But after you're done with our excellent program, have you seen this online where there is an actress that is one of the actors on Disney property, and she does both the Evil Queen and Maleficent. But her Maleficent, if you haven't seen it, just Google Maleficent's response to Angelina Jolie. You'll find this on YouTube. Patton Oswalt shared it, and it was flawless because somebody has some merchandise from the Angelina Jolie film, and they hand it to her,
Yeah.
and she goes, "Who is this imposter?"
Because
She has a
they
certain
get to
look.
be characters. So if the
Yeah.
character's like if you're Jack Sparrow, then you get to be weird. You
Yeah.
get to do those things.
Yeah, and it was, but I watched. I think it's about 3 minutes long. She goes, and it's perfect because she has a certain appearance, sure, but she is not
Yeah.
this. And I literally, so watch our show
No.
and then look for that. It's a lot of fun.
No, so it's just my big thing. One of the big issues I have with musicals is it drives me nuts when instead of just using actual dialogue to express emotions, they just break out in the song. I can't.
Can't you
I
feel the
love
love
fantasy.
tonight?
I love fantasy. I love everything about it. But I can't dive into a scene where they just break out in the song. It just takes me right out of it.
This, so
But there's several
But
movies.
Chad, it's a real pussy wagon. Grease lightning.
Another one. That's another fine example of a movie that I can't get into is Grease.
What about Grease?
can't.
Don't you start.
I, you know what?
I have not.
As much as it pains me, and it does, to agree with Chad, I've seen Grease twice, and I have no urge.
It's
no,
a real pussy wagon. Grease lightning.
I just can't.
not as much as that one in Kill Bill.
I like
No.
I like the opening credits of Grease. That's it.
It's Caesar.
Well, I know, but it's not Sid Caesar. It's anyway.
No, that's Sid Caesar.
It's
Say
not-
what you will about Sid Caesar, but he has an amazing dressing.
Yes.
That's such a bad.
So
why do I
anyway,
laugh at that
So
shit?
we're gonna talk about our list.
Yes.
I'm old and I need attention.
Do you all want me to go first? Since I'm.
Yes.
So this is another fine example of this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's a musical.
Yes.
Little Shop of Horrors.
I knew you were going to steal that.
Come and Bop.
Little Shop of Horrors. Is it Watch 'Em Drop?
I think yes.
Yes.
So
We sing on the show a lot too, actually.
yes.
That's why I was trying to actually think of a musical number I could do to kick us off, and I didn't because I sing like an amputee. Can't hold a note, can't carry a tune.
Amputees
Was this
out
on
there
your
gonna
list,
stop
James?
Watching.
Was this on your list?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. So 1986, directed by Frank Oz and written by Howard Ashman. Songs were written by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. I did not know Alan Menken wrote the songs for Little Shop of Horrors.
I didn't either. Who's Alan Menken?
James.
Alan Menken? You know a lot of songs by Alan Menken.
Probably.
If I'm not mistaken, Alan Menken was Beauty and the Beast, right?
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, never heard of
And
him.
he's wrote several modern day Disney songs. He's wrote them.
But he hasn't written a lot recently.
He's dead.
If I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know.
Am I getting him and Ashman confused?
I think you might
One
be.
of-
I think because Alan
one of
Menken wrote some new additional songs for the live action Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, then
Which
it's
is
Howard
a
Ashman.
dog turd.
Yes.
Terrible movie.
So it stars Rick Moranis.
Yes, I'm sorry. Howard Ashman is the one.
Yeah, Howard
That's
Ashman.
the one.
So Rick Moranis, Ellen Green,
It was not a terrible movie.
no what?
I'm just fucking with you. Keep
Ellen
going.
Green, Bill Murray, Steve Martin, John Candy, Vincent Gardenia,
Gardenia.
and the great Levi Stubbs.
You left somebody off there.
Who did I leave out?
Steve Martin.
No, I said Steve Martin.
Nuh-uh.
I said it right after Bill Murray. I'm
Oh.
reading my script.
To be a dentist.
Yeah.
You'll be a dentist. I love that as a kid.
Yes.
I probably watched that dozens of times as
Yeah.
a kid.
And there's tons of songs, but my personal favorites are Skid Row,
Yeah.
Feed Me,
Yeah.
Dentist,
Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour, where Ellen Green just knocks it out of the park.
By the way, that is a character actor we should have done on our character actor show.
Yes. And I've got an interesting tidbit about her too. Mean Green Mother from Outer Space.
I'm a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad, B. Is it? Right?
Yeah. So here's a fascinating aspect of this. I don't know if you know about the making of that movie.
a little bit, but it's based on the play, the musical, right?
It's originally a low budget film done by Roger Corman, he did the movie in 2 days, I think is what it was.
It was a bet.
It was a bet that he
it's
couldn't
all
do
true
it.
story.
Yeah,
And it starred. The original one starred.
Dick Miller was in it, but he didn't star.
Yeah, he
in
didn't
it.
star in it.
It was Jack Nicholson, right?
Jack
Nicholson
did
is in it, but he didn't
plays
star in
Bill.
It.
He was Bill Murray's character,
Yeah.
so he wasn't starring. No.
But
Yes,
Jack
one of the
Nicholson.
actors was Jack Nicholson. You're right.
Thank you.
Buttercup. See, I
So,
called
thank
him
you.
Buttercup. Does it make you any better? No. All right.
Anyway, so
when a cup of butter runneth over.
Levi Stubbs, who is the voice of
We should get that checked out.
Levi Stubbs is the voice of Audrey II, the plant.
Yeah.
He sung so fast that there was no way possible for the puppeteers to keep up with his vocals. So what they had to do, they had to lower the frame rate for where they shot it. Do you know about this?
No.
They had to lower the frame rate of how they shot it. So when they actually are shooting this, they're moving in slow motion. Even Rick Moranis is singing in slow-mo. And then they sped it up
Oh.
to
that's
catch up
tough.
just because Levi Stubbs was going so fast. I just love that aspect of it. And then, they didn't want Ellen Green.
Why not?
They wanted Cyndi Lauper.
Oh. I mean,
I can see it. I
I
can
can,
totally see it.
Yeah.
But Cyndi Lauper could not hit those notes that Ellen Green did. Cyndi
No.
Lauper is an amazing, talented singer who doesn't get the respect that she deserves, in
you
my
think
opinion.
that?
Oh, God, yeah. I love Cyndi Lauper.
She
Just the
definitely.
way you did
no,
it. I mean,
no,
it was so
no.
passionate.
I do,
with
man.
Cyndi
I
Lauper.
could sit there and listen to True Colors
Oh my
and
God.
almost cry. I love True
I think. And
Lost me on that one. Do you
Not-
feel
No. I'm sorry. Time After Time.
time after
Are
time.
you? Oh, that you still lost me.
But
Do you feel the same way when you watch Vibes with her and Jeff Goldblum?
No,
No, but-
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What about when she does the Goonies song?
Uh,
Do you get emotional then?
Oh, yeah. I want to get on my bike and go down the hill, but I can't ride a bike.
Which explains your childhood.
But no, I actually will agree with Chad a little bit on this. Speaking of Cyndi Lauper, pretty much like 80s women musicians, I think you have a spectrum of awesome that's just different. But I think you
Yeah.
have
So you're
Joan
saying
Jett,
Cyndi Lauper's on the spectrum?
Mm.
you have Joan Jett and Cyndi Lauper, and I think they transcend somehow.
But I
He
think,
doesn't
and
know
I
what to
think
do with his hands.
Cyndi Lauper could hit notes that most singers at that time
Oh, yeah.
couldn't. But no, so they wanted Cyndi Lauper. They couldn't get her because of timing. They then wanted Madonna for some awful reason.
Now hold on really quick. So that's produced by Geffen,
Yes.
David Geffen, as one of his Geffen pictures. He also did Beetlejuice. He did several movies in the 80s that people
Yes.
remember quite well right later.
Yeah.
Geffen started out in music.
Mhm.
I wonder if she was on his
maybe,
label.
maybe. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
asking. I'm talking
Yeah,
out
no.
loud.
But no,
For you history buffs
I never
of the
got-
entertainment
and I never got
industry.
why Madonna wasn't. But then they decided, well, we'll just go with the lady who's doing the Broadway production,
Uh-huh.
which was Ellen Green.
Oh, that's cool.
She was already on Broadway doing the show.
Is she the only one who was on Broadway who got to the
Yes,
movie?
she was the only one. So she was actually the only transition from the Broadway play. Did you know that this movie bombed?
I didn't know it bombed. I didn't think it was a huge success.
It was budgeted at $25 million. Well, okay,
Which is a big budget for the 80s.
yeah, and now granted, it made its money back. It made $38 million, but it premiered number 4.
Really? So it just played well for a while?
Yeah, it played well. So The Golden Child,
Yeah.
Star Trek 4, and Three Amigos were the top 3 of
That weekend?
of that weekend.
Oh.
And Little Shop of Horrors premiered 4.
Watch him drop. Sorry.
So, and by the way, that's one thing I'm gonna say. My 3 picks, none of them were a success at the box office.
well,
No, none of them were a success at a box. And this one this was the closest one.
my two were huge hits. So.
But yeah, so it was not a number 1 hit, which shocked me because this was one of those staples of my childhood, and I still watch it to this day. And when Ellen Green sings "Suddenly Seymour," it actually sends goosebumps up me. I love hearing that song, and Rick Moranis is amazing in it.
For you people out there who like Ellen Green, there's another movie you should check out with Christian Slater called Pump Up the Volume.
Yes.
That she's also in. She plays the teacher. Check that out as well.
Just and we'll move on. But the other thing I want to talk about was Bill Murray and Steve Martin.
uh-huh.
So Bill Murray obviously
It's not credited in the movie.
no,
either.
and he ad-libbed most of the lines.
No, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
true.
yeah. Basically, Frank Oz said, "Okay, do the part when you're walking. Here's the script for when you're walking to the dentist." Of course, he ad-libbed quite a bit, but when they actually got in the chair, he just said, "Go for it," and Bill Murray did. And I swear to God, because Steve Martin known as for an ad-libs? I don't think he is.
so.
I think he's more of an on-the-script person. Even then, do you all watch that movie and could you kind of see that Steve Martin's a little bit uncomfortable, like he doesn't know what to do?
Would you believe that I haven't seen it in 10 to 20 years?
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I don't own it. Well, I don't think I do. Because the special edition came out last year,
Yeah.
right?
our
And
former,
the big thing was that they
Yeah,
included the original
yeah.
ending,
So in the original ending, Audrey 2 just wipes out all of humanity.
which is probably the way
Yeah.
that the play ended, right?
Our former producer Haley Salyers we actually talked about it because they were showing it here, and we tried to get to go, but just the timing was we couldn't go.
there we go.
So, but no, yeah. So that's my first pick. Just I love Little Shop, and I didn't realize, I knew it was a musical, but man, I didn't. It's just one of those.
Now, I love it too. I would have picked it, but I just assumed either you or then James was going
Yeah,
to.
I thought.
So I tried to
what's
stay away
interesting
from
about it, and I don't recommend seeking this out, but the cartoon they spun off of it,
Yes.
it
Where
was
it-
such a musical that the cartoon would stop to have musical segments.
Oh, really? I've never seen it.
Every
what's funny
episode
is-
of the cartoon had a musical segment in it.
As
Every-
amazing as amazing as Levi Stubbs was in this movie, the only other thing I think he did was he was the voice of Mother Brain in Captain N and the Game Master.
Yes.
See what that is?
Yeah, it's a
Oh man,
crappy Nintendo.
it was no. Oh, you own Cops. You don't get us crap on Captain.
You cannot sit here and tell me Captain N and the Game Master was a good cartoon, sir.
It's at least on par with Cops. if not a
You're
little
you're
better.
full of shit.
No,
All right.
it gets
Even though
sucked into
Levi
video
Stubbs'
game
Mother
world.
Brain is amazing.
Can we move
It is.
along?
It is. It's
All right. I am going to do, since Chad has sprung this B movie tripe on us, I'm going to do an A-list MGM film that I never thought I'd do, but when I was going through my list, it actually landed on number 1. I'm going to do Meet Me in St. Louis.
I don't know it.
Directed by
Who would go
Vincent Minnelli.
Who would meet in St. Louis?
Well, clearly it's Judy fucking Garland. And then she had sex with Vincent
Judy
Minnelli.
Garland and somebody
Who was in that
Joe,
amazing movie with that great actor Burt Reynolds?
Joe. Wait, Judy Garland did a film with somebody with the last name Minnelli. Do go on. I think this could lead to something.
It did. You know, oddly enough, so real quick, when I was doing so I knew the movie.
And by the way, you said it wrong. Meet me in St. Louis.
I said St. Louis.
Fuck, you did?
Yeah, I did. I said,
Damn it.
Everybody, we're pausing this damn thing right now and going back. Meet me in St. Louis.
You want me to do the rewind sound effect?
So, you want to hear a funny story about this? So, Judy Garland.
No, I don't.
Hard
Please
to
stop.
work with. And what I found out interesting about it, see, I'm just going to go on, is that her and Vincent Minnelli did not get along.
Oh, shit. No, really?
So they have something
They
in common.
ended up, having a kid together.
Yeah, but it wasn't a healthy relationship if I know my history.
Yeah,
They-
but the
so they
interesting
ended-
thing is, how did it even get there? Because he hated, well, she didn't hate it, but it was so hard to direct her because she was so insecure.
Yeah.
And she hated the part. She didn't really want to take the part. And he had to get her overact, which is how he built her part out of it.
So-
because she didn't even like the dialogue.
So I kind of screwed up.
Manelli and me have something in common.
I didn't tell
Our spouse originally hated us.
Yeah. Come to think about it, Christy hated my guts too. Yeah.
So I failed to tell the plot of Little Shop of Horrors. Look it up. What is Meet Me in St. Louis about? Anyway?
Nah, you know.
It's about Carpathia, Ohio.
Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit here. I don't mean to, just so I can get I'm bad about not giving, not telling the plots for things.
Yeah, so am I.
You're better than me. Divided into a series of seasonal vignettes, starting with summer 1903. It takes place in 1903, right as the World's Fair is happening in St. Louis at the end of the movie.
So this is an H.H. Holmes biopic.
That's really obscure.
History.
Oh my God.
Story
That would be a great musical.
family in St. Louis, leading up to the opening of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, more commonly referred to as the World's Fair, in the spring of 1904. The picture stars Judy Garland, Margaret O'Brien. She was the little girl, and so what happens is Mr. Smith is getting a job in New York and is eventually going to have to move the family
To Washington, right?
No, it's New York City on business.
No, I heard Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Fuck you. Why did I see that coming? Why did I see that
Whee!
All right. So it's based on a book. I hate you. Let me tell you one other interesting thing. So this Vincent Minnelli was so detailed about the book that the set and the actors were really impressed about how detailed so much detail just went into the set.
Yeah.
That living room set at the turn of the century was used 15 years later for a little movie called The Time Machine because it still held up.
Oh, nice.
That whole set is straight out of Meet Me in St. Louis because it was MGM at the time. And we should really do a 2 to 3 parter over MGM and what a dream factory that place was.
That's really
What?
okay. No, go ahead.
No, it was.
No,
I mean, no, it was a nightmare for some people. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Just so you know, you must remember this. Did a 12-parter.
Well, we're not doing the whole fucking thing about Louis.
I'll do you one better. Turner
I've read a book.
TNT back when Ted Turner owned it did that entire 2 or 3 hour-long episodes narrated by Patrick Stewart. MGM When the Lion Roars.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, oh wow, that was a place to be. I mean, it was terrible for some people, but if you
For
were
some
not
people,
one of those
but it was a
people-
dream factory. Yeah, so Sally Benson wrote the book, and he went back just to get the details. There's a lot of songs that people remember out of it. The big one is, oh, Jesus, I can't remember, because my favorite
The big one's Oh Jesus? I don't know that one.
No.
Oh Jesus, oh Jesus.
So what I really like, my favorite, of course, is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. But that's actually not, it's the trolley. Is it Chang Tang?
Bang, bang, yeah, when the trolley.
So she did all that in one take, right.
Well,
That's all. Those songs are from this movie.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, so if neither one of you have seen it,
I haven't.
and what's funny about
I've
this
seen
is
it,
I
and
just said horror films weren't my favorite genre. The actual best sequence in this movie to me is the Halloween sequence. It was almost cut from the film because of budgetary reasons.
Yep.
But Vincent Minnelli made it happen. It was like, no, we can't do this. And like I said, the movie's told over vignettes. So it's like spring, summer, yada, yada, yada. You got to at least watch the Halloween sequence. It is
Spring, summer,
beautiful.
fall.
It's shot. It is the encapsulation of. It's almost like who's the guy that used to do the Saturday Evening Post? What's the
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, it's almost a Rockwellian vision of a small street in the turn of the century Halloween. What that was. It's just beautiful.
Lots of
an
racism.
American vision.
Hatred of the Irish. Yep.
Did I shit on Audrey too?
Because you like it.
Well, you've not seen it.
I know.
You should see it.
No, it is. Now I watched it, and I was going to say I have seen it, but I'll tell you how long ago when I saw it. I had to take a theater class, and it was shown in high school. No, it was my first year of college, and it was shown as the prime example of a musical.
Yeah,
and I appreciate
can't vote. Yep.
They don't get a lot of say so where Mr. Smith goes.
I appreciated it, but I'll be honest. I still argue. I mean, it's an important musical for all the songs that you've already named.
Yeah.
But it's still not the one that makes me go, "That's a musical."
All right. So
it's pretty close. The Halloween sequence on the street outside the Smith home was primarily filmed through low angles, so the movie audience will experience Halloween night as the Margaret O'Brien, who's a small child named Tootie, embarks on her adventure, and the house appears to be large and looming. You just got to check it out. What?
just Tootie. I was thinking of Facts of Life.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, this was before the Facts of Life.
You take the good.
The good.
You take
The bad. They ripped off fucking Meet Me in St. Louis. Anyway, there you go. I think you should watch it. By the way, Margaret O'Brien was awarded a special Oscar when she was so young that year at the Academy. And by the way, this was a huge success. Actually, it was MGM's second biggest success, and David O. Selznick behind a little movie called
Wizard of Oz, I'm assuming.
Gone with the Wind.
Oh.
Wizard of Oz actually was not a success when it came out.
Oh, that's right. So, James, so you just said that. What did you think
We
of?
probably need to go a little quicker.
Oh, well, no, I'm
shit.
going to go a little slow. I'm going to go about the same speed you all did because I was doing research for this film, and I found a reference to something, and I was like, "The hell musical is that?"
I would watch the Hell musical.
It's hot, hot, hot. Anyway, so I was like, I want to know more about this because it was originally supposed to be an animated musical, and they had already cast it. And then HUAC came along and ruined it. The House Un-American Activities Committee blackballed the animator that was working on it, who had worked for Disney, who had worked on all these people. The original cast for this animated version of the musical they were going to do was it was going to be directed the John Hubley, who worked on Snow White, and it created Joe's all-time favorite reference to call our good friend Craig Dennis, who always shares our videos, created a Mr. Magoo. But
hey, Magoo! What's it like driving after dark? Sorry, I'm a terrible human being.
But the original cast they had for this...
Call me Lunger?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lunger. That's all right. I'm the shrimper, so...
yeah, but at least it has nothing to do with an actual medical condition you have.
No, it doesn't. The voice cast they originally had cast for this was Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Barry Fitzgerald, and Jim Backus.
Jim Backus? Not Jim Backus of Gilligan's
They
Island.
tried for a decade to get this made. So the musical premiered on Broadway in 1947. They were going to do the animated version in 1958. Was actually going to... He had already left Disney. It was going to see if they could compete against Disney. Guess what? Never happened because HUAC said he's a communist. He refused to turn over names. He kept trying to get it made. Just never happened. So 1968, 20 years after it's been on Broadway, they finally get the rights to make the film. And if you all know anything about this film, I'll kind of be shocked. Finian's Rainbow. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Of course I know Finian's Rainbow. You're talking about Francis Ford Coppola.
There you go. That's why most people
Really?
know it. There you go. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, it's horrible.
I
I actually couldn't finish watching it.
Well, that's the problem. Okay, so I will defend it because it is. If you keep in mind the script or the original story is 1947,
And it was a bomb, right?
no,
That was a success.
It tripled its budget. $3.5 million budget made close to $12 million.
But it's not considered a good movie in the history.
Well, that's
of
because it
cinema.
came out against another musical that I don't like.
What?
But I had to find this, and I'll set this up. So I had to find this, and it wasn't on Netflix, it wasn't on Amazon, or it wasn't free on Amazon, and it wasn't on Hulu. The three things I have constant access to. So I finally said, screw it, and I rented it for $2 on Amazon, and I watched it, and it is a very, very interesting film that I actually enjoyed some of the songs from quite a bit. The plot to the film, though, is all over the place because it has multiple plots. It takes place in Rainbow Valley, Mississippi, in a tobacco community. Finian is played by Fred Astaire.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter's played by Petula Clark. She'll take you downtown.
Who plays the platypus?
Downtown. Hold on. To serve with love. That was Petula Clark, wasn't it?
That sounds right. I know her for Downtown because my dad loved that song.
Downtown.
My dad liked Petula Clark.
I think I prefer to serve with love.
Here's the cast. So Fred Astaire, Petula Clark, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Tommy Steele plays Og the Leprechaun.
Is he an actual leprechaun?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm getting to it. Woody Mahoney plays Don Franklin. Keenan Wynn is the evil racist politician. Chad, here's the plot to the film. Finian steals a pot of gold from a leprechaun and flees Ireland and comes to America. And he settles in Mississippi, combination of Mississippi and Kentucky,
Which is next to Pennsylvania.
which is a tobacco farming community. He sides with the local workers against the evil. So you've got plot A. Then you've got plot B. Og the Leprechaun, it turns out they don't have exposure to their pot of gold after a while. They become human. And he does not want to become human because humans suck. So he comes over pursuing Finian. It is a fantasy and a romantic comedy smacked together with tons of commentary about racism. Because Keenan Wynn plays the evil racist.
The opposite of Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yes, yeah. He
Don't
trains.
knock it until you've had Judy Garland.
Keenan Wynn plays this racist politician who trains dogs to attack African Americans.
Which reminds me of a movie called White Dog. And we should probably talk about
To
that.
the point that at one point he's going to, and there's one African American town who is befriended by Finian, and he's working on, and this movie is very much of its time, making mentholated tobacco that grows mentholated. That's what he's working on. The town is going into poverty. The politician is getting more and more rich. And all of this comes to a head when the daughter is they're getting ready to basically attack the people. And the politician, she wishes that he knew what put people through. Because they have leprechaun gold, the wish comes true. And Keenan Wynn is made into an African American, and his own dogs attack him.
And on that bombshell,
So-
tune in next week for Bonehead, where we'll be talking about White Dog.
No, so anyway,
Look it up.
it is a weird flipping movie, I will admit. But that's one of the problems with it. It doesn't get a lot of TV time, even though it was a hit, because the runtime on this film, because it has all these different subplots that come together, is almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never made it.
I'll be
through
honest
it.
with you, James. You're not selling this for me at all.
I
Here's
can't get through it. It's a goofy little movie.
here's the thing about it. If you like any of those films, that if you can't be with the one you love, you should love the one you with. That's a ripoff of this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The lyrics in their version is, "When I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near."
Huh.
Is the versions in this. But I also love it because, okay, Fred Astaire is old by the time this movie's
Oh, God, yeah.
but he has some of the most heartfelt lines.
The dancing mouse isn't animated. It's dementia. It didn't.
He has some of the most
Spit on me?
heartfelt
I don't know.
lines.
Probably.
So at the end of the movie,
Double stomach bug. He
bastard.
At the end of the movie, it pretty much implies that he knows he's dying.
Okay.
And he wanders off. And his daughter looks at him because his daughter has just got married. But it's not a happy, everything works out fine.
She sings "To Serve
No,
with
no.
Love."
She sings
Go
a song that was
downtown.
nominated for an Academy Award, thank you, which I'll talk about in a second. She looks at him and says, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm going to find me a rainbow. There may not be a pot of gold under it, but at least there'll be a beautiful new world."
All right, so he's dead.
Um,
Move along.
No, and then his final, and in that same speech, she is downcast. They lost everything in a fire. This is how the movie ends. And they have this, I don't know what Chad's
Chad is
doing.
covering his face with a pillow.
The line of, he just has this great line where he says, "Things are indeed hopeless, but they're not serious." And he just realized that nothing in life is serious, and you can't take it that way. That being said, I wanted to point this out. Joe, you said, why isn't it well known today?
No, I don't think it's a good movie. That's the
The
reason.
Broadway revival, by the way, just came back out, and they've been they were on Broadway. I think they may still be on Broadway. Huge hit
Oh
again.
my God! Get to what came out the same time.
The songs from it are "Old Devil Moon," and the one that was nominated for an Academy Award are "How Are Things" and "Glockmora," which is basically the song. Glockmora is where you go when you're dead. But then the main song that Petula Clark sings in this is called "Look to the Rainbow," and one of the lyrics that I really loved, and I really was like, that's a good lyric, is follow the.
The whole time I was talking, and you haven't done jack to him other than fucking.
No, you all have constantly been going. Follow the fellow who follows his dream. Joe, why don't you know this movie, or why don't more people know this movie?
I'm the only one of the three of us that knew it.
That tripled its budget. The reason nobody knows this movie is another stupid musical came out that I don't like that was considered a bigger hit and got all the Academy Awards that year. Oliver.
Oh, I've only seen scenes.
Yeah, I've never seen Oliver.
I
like
you've
Oliver
not seen all of Oliver? You didn't make it all the way through this, but you haven't seen all of Oliver? The two big movies? Anyway, Oliver, so this was nominated
I've never
for...
seen Oliver and Company either.
It's okay.
It was nominated for Golden Globe
Billy
Award for
Joel, right?
Best Motion Picture. It lost to Oliver. Petula Clark was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress. She lost to Barbara Streisand for Funny Girl.
Oh, well, I mean, Funny Lady. Oh, no, that's the sequel.
Fred Astaire was nominated for Best Actor. Lost to Ron Moody for Oliver.
Oh, my God. I get it.
Ruth Gordon won for Rosemary's Baby, though. So
no, Ruth Gordon deserved that.
I agree. I'm not, but anyway, what's funny about it is in 2004 when AFI was doing their top 100 songs,
Yes.
How Are Things in Glockmora is on that list. So,
I don't even know it.
well, you need to actually watch the entire movie, and it's used 3 times. In the film.
I haven't even seen The Mandalorian yet. Which one do you think is going to take precedent?
Have you watched Star Trek Discovery yet? Because I may need
No.
that back. I want to rewatch it.
No, you have it right over there. I'll let you borrow it as soon as this freezes over. What is this, hell?
Anyway, so I wanted to mention
Jad go. Jad.
I mentioned it because I want the one thing Francis Ford Coppola does do in the film
You
that I
said one thing more than once.
I know, but y'all keep interrupting me, and I get off track.
Oh, I
and I'm
didn't
sideways.
interrupt for like 20 minutes watching Chad go. Why didn't he interrupt me?
Chad's been interrupted with his facial
Joe
features.
was making fun of 1904.
What the hell? Anyway,
What's going on?
Francis Ford Coppola. If you 2017, they released a Blu-ray of it with the Francis Ford Coppola commentary. Francis Ford Coppola spends most of the commentary talking about things that didn't work out the way he wanted it to. That being said, if you do watch the film, Francis Ford Coppola gets so many great landscape scenes and the feeling of the town that literally the town is, you don't see it. Most musicals feel like they're still set on a Broadway stage.
Yeah.
This one doesn't. Francis Ford Coppola directs the living daylights out of this film.
Well, he went on to do only one other movie, and it was called The Cotton Club.
No, Dementia 13. Sorry.
He'd already done that.
What about Jack?
Yeah.
Jack.
I love that we're nailing just the shit.
Yeah, no.
Jack is dead, my friends.
And then he made a version of The Mummy. It's called Francis Ford Coppola's The Mummy. He never did Dracula. Are we going?
All right.
Chad.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't know why y'all killing time.
Killing time
All
is
right.
killing me.
So again, this
According to Clint Black.
my
Drinking
second.
myself blind.
I can't sing, won't sing.
So
And if I cross that line,
line and the bear
bury me, then I might just be
I
killing
find
time.
you screwed up the lyrics.
I did. I'll be killing
Kill
time.
time for
for
eternity. See that
yeah.
that's music. It's one of the few things that I found out in 2004 we had in common was that one song.
They
mother
we
played
have
it
both
for you.
types of music. We
Right?
have
Your
both
mom
types
played
of
it.
What now?
You said your mom played it for you.
Yeah.
Why do I remember that?
I don't know.
We
His
both.
mom kept killing time on a loop for him as a child.
Huh.
That's not true.
Yeah.
While she brushed his hair.
I was going to say. I thought you were going to say brushed his teeth.
No, no. What the
Have
hell?
you seen those? Those weren't brushed. All
Hey,
right, go.
Hey, no cavities. Jacked up because I
Because of
couldn't
that
afford braces.
iodine allergy you have.
No braces because we were poor when I was a kid. Thanks for pointing out childhood poverty, you jerk.
Yeah, well, it worked out okay for you, Mountain Dew boy. Now keep going.
So my second pick was, again, it wasn't a box office success. It kind of came and went.
You guys are going to pick anything that don't suck?
It has a cult following now. It actually has been received even more popular on Broadway. Hedwig and the Angry Inch
Okay.
from 2001. Written and directed by John Cameron Mitchell. Songs written by Stephen Trask. I actually still listen to. I have a couple of these songs on my iPod that I still listen to. They just have that beat. The story is about a transgender. Sorry, let me read my story.
We've got the beat. We've got.
I was going to do it, and I stopped myself.
The story is
didn't.
about a transgender rocker who is traveling across the U.S. playing in sleazy bars and Asian restaurants with her band. During the story, she tells her life story of how she got there and how the man she loved stole her songs and reached fame. Also, how she had a botched gender reassignment surgery that left her with what is clearly defined in the title of the movie. Some of the best songs from that this musical: "Origin of Love," "Tear Me Down."
Origin of Love.
Yes, it's actually a really good song. Let me get into that in a minute. "Tear Me Down," "Midnight Radio," and "Wig in a Box." All four amazing
What
songs.
about Man in a Box?
No, "Wig in a Box" is a lot better.
Then Man
I'm on a midnight radio. I'm on a midnight radio. What?
So one of the things, so just like Little Shop of Horrors, one of the things I liked about how they did this movie. So John Cameron Mitchell did not actually want to direct this movie. He just wanted to star in it. He had wrote it with Stephen Trask, but as they got closer and closer, he realized that he probably needed to direct it because he knew how the things went. But unlike most musical films, the film's musical arranged segments are only partly filmed on playback. They didn't want to have to lip sync the lines and the music, so the band playing was recorded in studio and then played back on set and sang live. Mitchell's vocals were recorded and then mixed later on with recording of the band, making it sound like they too were performing live. However, on the soundtrack, the vocals were mixed to sound as if they were recorded in a studio. This actually started out as a drag queen show that John Cameron Mitchell and Trask developed. Mitchell was a really big fan of the stage adaptation of Plato's Symposium.
Not a clue.
I don't know either, but he and Trask collaborated on a song based on the play. That was what became Origin of Love. So the following is a quote from John Cameron Mitchell about
the song. I don't got it in my. It's the ending song of the Producers. When they're in the prison.
Prisoners of Love.
Prisoners of Love.
Prisoners
Origin
of
of Love. I keep singing Prisoners of Love.
Have you heard the song Origins of Love?
No. I've never seen the movie. I'm familiar with it, but I've never seen
the movie's really good, and I highly recommend. Just YouTube.
Is it better than Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
I like it more
Because I like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
I like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert as well.
Yeah,
but I like Hedwig and the Angry Inch. But I was so excited about what I was seeing on stage that by the way, I should say this came from a Rolling Stone article about the oral history of this movie.
It's not Peter Travers, is it?
No.
Because God, he's such a suck up to Tarantino. Tag his ass in Twitter about that.
He basically wrote, I was so excited about what I was seeing on stage that I started thinking more about this Hedwig character that he was developing for this drag show. Steven said, "Well, I can get you an easy gig with an audience here. This was a bar a drag show that they were hanging out together in.
Yeah.
But you'd have to do the female character because this is how it works at this club. So I started thinking about the character and the transgender aspect, the sort of castration angle and the involuntary sex change. It just came to him right there, and he started developing the character from there. I was thinking about the origin of love. I was thinking about Berlin, where my parents had lived. I was looking at the performers, and I was sort of like, yes, this is the metaphor. To walk away, you got to leave something behind. It took 4 years of perfecting this.
In this, it was his penis.
Yeah. It took 4 years of perfecting the songs and the story and costumes to get this off Broadway. There was a story about how Hedwig has some amazing wigs in this show. They talked about the original that they were using roles that they didn't know how to do any of this. John Cameron Mitchell just became obsessed with the drag queen life and developing character based on this. And he hired people who were not in the business to help him develop this character. So they knew this one guy who did costumes. He did some for Broadway. They used rolled up toilet paper in the wig, and it just started falling off on stage. But it took 4 years of perfecting before they actually got it into something that was marketable. It became an underground cult classic, and Hollywood started showing up. David Bowie actually got this into the mainstream. He came and he saw their show, and this rundown old shop. They actually said that on opening night there was a homicide, and they were wheeling the dead body in front of the audience as they were going into the show, and they had to basically play it off like it was part of the thing.
Life on the street.
You know how many? Hey, Joe, do you know how many people were trying to get in that movie? I screwed that up.
Yeah, you've been dying to get into that movie.
They're dying to get in. The show. I'm sorry.
So this led to the movie being made at New Line because of David Bowie. But again, it was a bomb. Also,
it's your stomach, not mine.
Okay, but it was a bomb, and it also another reason. I think it would have bombed regardless, but it also didn't help that it came out, and then the next week 9/11 happened.
Well, I was going to say it.
Coincidence?
It was a little bit of a cult film, though, almost from the beginning. Because I remember.
Oh, from the beginning, yeah.
I remember Suncoast. Those used to exist.
Yeah.
And I remember they had posters for it, and I can remember people going, "Oh, I need that for my room," and stuff like that. So I mean, it had a cult following early, but it just—you're right. It didn't blow people away.
I thought it's had a cult following for years, but it's one of those things. I've never seen it, but I haven't heard a lot about it in the last few years.
Yeah, and well, here's why it has gained notoriety in the past few years.
It has?
Yes, because Neil Patrick Harris is doing it on Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing Hedwig, and that gave it a whole new audience. Mm-hmm. And he does a really good job. I've seen some of his performances. It's not John Cameron Mitchell. John Cameron Mitchell developed this. His portrayal in the movie is amazing. And the songs, I mean, you can just sit there and the songs, you'll find your foot just tapping along with it.
Do you have to have three names to play the character?
It's a good question. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why they paid me.
Well, let's give Lee Harvey Oswald a chance and see.
What, James?
Let's give Lee Harvey Oswald a chance and see.
He can go next.
Yeah.
Let's see how he shoots it up.
No, so if you haven't seen Hedwig and the Angry Inch, please check it out.
Hey, Joe, Lee Harvey Oswald playing that role would be mind-blowing.
Oh, too soon. I'm still trying to get the stains out of Missing Kennedy's jacket.
Oh, my God.
Joe, she ain't going to pick that up.
No. She's dropped her dry cleaning off a few years ago, never came back.
Oh, God. But no,
we're terrible people, but we're better horses.
I don't know what just happened. But anyway, no, just check it out. If anything, YouTube, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and the Origin of Love, or Midnight Radio, or Wig in a Box. Listen to those three songs on YouTube, and those will hook you into the song.
Of love.
Well, Joe, second pick.
Mr. Cellophane. I got to do Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw Chicago at Universal Studios City Walk in Florida when it came out. I did not really want to see it. Chad's leaving. Chad's
if I don't get a drink, I'm going to start coughing.
I don't think that
Chad's had enough of this noise.
They're Bud Light. You may have to get a warm one.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Stock that fridge, bitch. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Chicago, and I didn't necessarily really want to see it. I'm with Chad almost. I like them slightly better than him, but musicals aren't my favorite thing on earth. However, I went into that and walked out and thought that was brilliant. You guys like Chicago, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like that movie, no.
What?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
How do you not like that movie?
Again, that's too much. It kind of bored me. I'm sorry. And I might need to go back and rewatch it. I don't think I was in
All
the
right, I can understand if you didn't like musicals, but bored?
I was bored.
That has some that is one fantastic performance after another.
I may need to go back and rewatch it because I think when I watched it that one time, I was not in the right place to be watching a movie like Chicago.
It was directed by Rob Marshall and Bill Condon, who would later go on to direct some musicals like Dreamgirls.
Right.
He also directed that terrible Disney musical, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that's right. He did do that.
Oh, he also directed a couple of the Twilight movies too, the last two.
Oh.
But Bill Condon's he also gave us the beautiful film, the masterpiece, Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh. But Chicago is actually based slightly on a true story, right?
Yes, slightly.
Slightly. Maureen Dallas Watkins retelling of two very public murder trials that occurred in Chicago in 24. Those of Beulah Annan and Belva Gartner. Watkins covered these trials to the Chicago Tribune and wrote the character of Mary Sunshine as a self-portrait. For Belva Gartner, better known as Velma Kelly, she had much less glitzy fate. She was acquitted and went on to have a few run-ins with the law, but ended up living a semi-normal life before dying of natural causes in California in 65 at age 80. But in the case of Beulah Sheriff Annan, a.k.a. Roxy Hart, it was more of a grisly end. It's true she was acquitted of murdering her lover. That's all true. Yeah. Thanks to the skills of her highly paid attorney, which is also true.
Yeah.
Who was bankrolled by her stunningly loyal husband, which is also true, played by the great I almost said John C. McGinley, but I didn't, John C. Reilly. Both great character actors. I love her. Thanks to the skills. She repaid that debt by publicly divorcing him. After her release, she'd remarried 2 more times until her death from tuberculosis 4 years later. She got to TB. Yeah. So that musical had been around for a while. I was trying to think of when it originally it was in the 70s. Yeah
it was been around for a while,
so it took forever to get it made. I want to go over some of the people that, so Bob Fosse, when the film rights were originally bought by producer Martin Richards, 70s, Bob Fosse was to be involved in the film project, and Goldie Hawn, Liza Minnelli, and Frank Sinatra were announced as the stars, but Fosse's death in 87 ended that attempt at the film version. Hold on. So for some of the people for Velma Kelly and Roxy Hart.
Wait, so Frank Sinatra was going to do 2 different musicals that never came to happen?
Yeah. Madonna, Goldie Hawn, Kathy Bates, Rosie O'Donnell, Nicole Kidman, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kristen Chenoweth for Roxy Hart and Mary Sunshine, Cameron Diaz, Whoopi Goldberg for Mama Morton, Britney Spears by Harvey Weinstein for Kitty Baxter, Toni Collette, Winona Ryder, Marissa Tomei were all considered for roles for the movie over the years.
Wow.
Yeah. Rob Marshall wanted Keanu Reeves for the role of Amos Hart. Charlie Sheen actually read for the part, still didn't get it.
Wow.
They went to John C. McGinley.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly does that just perfectly.
I agree. His Mr. Cellophane, and then Richard Gere's tap dance, which he studied, which he worked on for months, by the way, to get that tap dance right for the jury. Months. Michael Jackson
after he got that gerbil out, right?
Right. No, Jesus. Michael Jackson and Prince were both at one point considered for the role of Billy Flynn. Rob Marshall actually wanted Michael Jackson.
What?
It's a true story. I didn't know that either. Hold on.
I really don't remember anything about this movie. I do remember the Richard Gere tap dancing scene, and I was like,
when I originally heard about Chicago, because I'd never seen it, but people are fans, and I have actually seen it now later on stage post movie. It's fun. The role of Billy Flynn was offered more than once to John Travolta. He kept turning it down.
Huh?
Yeah.
I've
the 4th movie that John Travolta turned down that Richard Gere got.
Yeah.
You want to know the other ones?
Yeah, tell me.
So he turned down not only the Oscar-nominated role of Billy Flynn for Chicago, American Gigolo,
Really?
Days of Heaven. By the way, Days of Heaven is a hard watch, but that's one of those Terrence Malick films that if you're into film, you kind of need to watch. And An Officer and a Gentleman. You imagine what a hit that was?
Yeah.
Travolta has said that he deeply regrets declining the part.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I saw it in theaters.
Dayton Levels told him not to take it.
We'll get letters. Anyway, Gregory Harrison is who I saw do it on the tour.
Yeah.
And Gregory Harrison, we all know, of course, as Logan from Logan's Run, the TV series.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Well,
no, that's Hugh Jackman.
On tour, the one I saw do Billy Flynn was what's her face's boss from Seinfeld, which is funny. I've seen him live twice. He also read The Christmas Story while I was at Epcot once. I can never remember that guy's name. He's an
John Hurley, isn't it?
John Hurley. Yeah. John Hurley was doing Billy Flynn. He did it in Lexington here, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Gregory Harrison
Years
did
ago.
a great job.
Yeah.
But because I saw it in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
So when the musical finally, when Miramax got the rights, listen to the list of directors that turned it down: Milos Forman, Herbert Ross, and Baz Luhrmann. Baz Luhrmann directing some Romeo and Juliet and what's that other musical?
Moulin Rouge,
Moulin Rouge,
which is on my list.
Oh no,
I like Moulin Rouge.
well, I like it too. I just don't believe you can't like Chicago. That's all I want to say, because most people know the story.
I
Chicago.
really do think I was in the wrong state of mind when I said down to watch
I
Chicago.
That movie only cost $40 million, and I want you to go back and look at it. It looks like it cost $100 million.
It does.
Oddly enough, it is
It's only
also
$40 million. It
is-
actually Wes Craven it was one of Wes Craven's films, and he said he could never figure out how they got that much on the screen.
it was one of those films too that if one of those songs, they're earworms, like the courtroom scenes or the meeting with Billy Flynn and the thing, and they do it as a ventriloquist act.
Yeah,
Notice how his lips never move, almost.
yeah.
That got in my head the other day. Not even when I was preparing for this, and I was sitting there going, "They both reach for the gun for the gun." There's just something about. So yeah, it's a very effective music.
My third film will not be a huge Oscar winner. Go, James.
My next one is, since Joe hates Finian's Rainbow, which I still will defend.
I don't hate
as
it. I just don't get it.
You
Um,
didn't sell it for me either, buddy.
you also didn't. Well, in all fairness, you're interested in films about penises.
Is this
Anyway,
Yes.
Thank
No,
God.
it's the second one. It's only a second.
No, it's his third.
No, it's
He
his
said
second.
Finian's Rainbow and the other one.
no, there was no other one.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Why are you?
I want to do. It's actually my
You
favorite.
want me to
musical.
agree with you even if you're wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I get it. You don't want me to talk. Go ahead and do the show without me.
See what I'm saying? James gets it. Why fuck you can't get it?
Just
Go,
do the show
Jay.
without me. No. Anyway, actually, my next one is my. And I mentioned it before. It's my favorite musical is My Fair Lady. But I learned some stuff I didn't know about My Fair Lady.
I don't think it's as bad as Chad is, but I swear to God, I
About My
truly
Fair Lady.
like Pygmalion, the Leslie Howard version of Pygmalion, more than I do My
Here's
Fair
what-
Lady.
But I learned some trivia about this that I didn't know doing research for this, and this is what I learned. It was
Henry
considered-
Higgins?
Pygmalion was considered unadaptable as a musical. The people who made it, which were Alan J. Lettner and Frederick Lowe. And Alan J. Lettner made, Joe, you'll appreciate this. His other music lyrics are in Brigadoon,
Fuck a bunch of Brigadoon.
Paint Your Wagon,
Oh my God, what a shit show.
and is it Gigi?
Yeah, Gigi.
But wasn't Paint Your Wagon a success?
It was.
I don't know. But it's a
Second,
shit show.
second at the box office that year, I believe.
Yeah.
Check it out. And Frederick Lowe did the
So does
music.
Braveheart, but no one talks about it.
But people
Frederick
still talk
Lowe
about
did
Paint
the
Your
music,
Wagon.
and Frederick Lowe did Camelot. Is this other big credit? So it is based on Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw.
Did you just say Dick Lowe did a camel a lot?
Frederick Lowe Camelot.
Did that with toe.
See, now this is where you get me off
Dick
topic,
Lowe
and then you
Camel
complain
Toe.
that it takes a while. Anyway,
Dick Lowe, Camel Toe. See, we can write music.
other
Fucking
big
the
names.
Bernard Schnall. Who are those brothers? Sherman brothers. Fuck the Sherman brothers.
Did you just try to say George Bernard Shaw?
Yeah, the
I
Sherman
was trying
brothers.
to, but y'all are interrupting. Anyway, George Bernard Shaw wrote Pygmalion. Couple things about that. Arthur Schwartz and Howard Dietz, who did musicals, Bandwagon, et cetera, they
Dietz?
were the first.
As
What?
in Lydia.
Say
Dietz.
nuts.
Yeah.
As in
Dietz?
Lydia.
Say nuts.
No, because you wouldn't tell him he had 3 episodes done. Or
3
movies.
episodes.
You know what I'm saying. James gets it.
See, and y'all talk about how I talk so long, but we're 10 minutes in. And see, now you triggered my thing. It's trying to ask what I want. Cheese and crackers. That's not cheese and crackers. It's cheese and crackers now. Anyway, Arthur Schwartz and Howard Dietz were the first to try to adapt it, and they gave up. They said it couldn't be done.
But they
And
did
then
get the
these
Sherman brothers.
hacks, these musical hacks that nobody's ever heard of. Rogers and Hammerstein
Never heard
tried
of
to
them.
do it and literally went, it can't be done. Matter of fact, when they passed their notes on to, I'm sorry, it's Lerner and
Michael Lerner.
Lowe, when Hammerstein literally said to Lowe, Pygmalion can't be adapted. It has no subplot. He said that the original story is all about class. And so when they did the music, what they actually added that's not really in Pygmalion is Eliza's side of the story. The fact that she has to work at it. Because if you watch Pygmalion or if you read the original play, it's just like one day she doesn't speak well, then the next she's much better, and then it's the end of the show.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the movie with Leslie Howard's about Leslie Howard. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
and
kind
that's
of a
what it
D-bag.
is. There's no
You've seen
but
it?
the
Yeah, Pygmalion.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
and of course most people, even if they've never seen My Fair Lady, if you've never seen,
Ashley.
I'm just gonna let him go and then
Sarah.
I'll start over. Anyway, are you done?
It's God is my witness. This was his 4th movie.
Oh my God, this is why it takes me so long. I need to start pre-recording mine, and you can just cut them in. Anyway,
Cut it in post. It's God is my witness. I'll cut it down in post.
But one of the problems about Pygmalion, I didn't know this, when George Bernard Shaw wrote the play Pygmalion.
You just make fun of him while he's eating cereal. Yeah. I like the puns.
You were saying when George Bernard Shaw wrote Piggy
When he
Little?
wrote Pygmalion, it was not like it was a huge hit in theaters at the time when he was still alive. But what it got negative reviews for was having a bad ending. People didn't like the fact that they don't get together. So much so.
No, they did. She just opens the door and come. They basically reunite, and then that's where it ends.
Yeah, but he smiles. Doesn't it end on Leslie Howard?
It ends with the song. The musical ends with, or he has the song "I've Become Accustomed to Her Face."
Yes.
In the George Bernard Shaw play,
The play.
Rex Harris, not
the
Rex
movie.
Harris, Henry Higgins. Henry Higgins is going to go out with his mother. They're going out to dinner. He turns around to Eliza Doolittle and says, "While we're out, go and get these supplies." And she realizes that it's never going to work out between them. And she basically said,
No, the movie didn't end that way, dude.
"Get your own supplies," and storms out. That's the way George Bernard Shaw wrote it, because at the time he was writing, it wouldn't have worked out. Social class, you would not break that. It doesn't matter what you sound. You don't come from the culture. So you can pass, but you can't be part of the culture. And that's what the play is actually about.
Mm-hmm.
When they did it as in the musical, of course, adds the "I become accustomed to his face," and it becomes a little bit, and then but you have the other guy trying to court her and all that stuff. That being said, that ambiguity actually becomes because the actors got tired of being hated. The first actor to play Henry Higgins was Sir Herbert Tree. And when George Bernard Shaw came back for the 100th showing, the 100th performance, they made a big deal about it. And George Bernard Shaw came to be in the audience, and he noticed a difference. When Eliza storms out, it cuts to, or it doesn't cut, the stage is set to where Henry Higgins, Professor Higgins, is still up above, and she storms out the door, so he's kind of in the window. And Sir Herbert Tree added a line, basically, where he just yells out Eliza's name as she storms off, and he throws her a bouquet of flowers because she was a flower girl. And it's a little bit more heartwarming. It implies maybe something could happen. And George Bernard Shaw stormed to the back of the performance and got Sir Herbert Tree. And Sir Herbert Tree knew what the complaint was going to be. And Sir Herbert Tree's response was, "My ending makes you money. You ought to be grateful." To which George Bernard Shaw said, "Your ending is damnable. You ought to be shot." So anyway, that's but if you've never seen it, Audrey Hepburn is in the musical. Originally, of course, on the Broadway cast was Julie Andrews. And Rex Harrison was Professor Higgins on Broadway and in the movie. My favorite songs from this one are the ones that nobody talks about. I love the character. Now, he's a terrible human being, but I love the character of her father. His song "With a Little Bit of Luck" is one of my go-to songs. I literally sing it sometimes to my wife. And if you've never heard it, it's all about how I don't want to do anything.
Aren't they all bad people except for her?
No, and she's not a good person. I mean, they're all, yeah. And actually, that gets to my next favorite song. And these are songs that make me look like a terrible person because I love them so much. But "With a Little Bit of Luck" is all about, one of the lyrics is, "The Lord above gave man an arm of iron so he could do his job and never shirk. But with a little bit of luck, someone else will do the bleeding work." And it's all about being lazy and getting away with it because in the
singing
play,
it to his wife. Is this about woman pleasing?
it's somebody's got to come along and please her with a little bit of luck. Anyway, and the other song is by Rex Harrison. It's Henry Higgins. "I'm an ordinary man," and the lyric that everybody knows from that. "But if you let a woman into your life," and everything goes sideways. So that's it. My Fair Lady. If you've never seen it, it's one of my all-time favorite movies.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
I like it better
Beautiful
than
film.
Meet Me in St. Louis.
It's a well-made movie, but
It's
no,
to
St.
me,
Louis in 1904.
no,
I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with My Fair
prefer-
Lady, and it's just me about basically saying that in order to fit in, you have to conform to social constructs, which
which is true.
which is
Yeah,
what the
sadly.
play. I mean, that's the entire point of the original play.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
That's why when I go to faculty stuff and they have brie, I have to act like I know what the proper temperature is for brie. I still
Did
don't.
you warm in here for Brie?
I made that joke 3 times, and nobody in that particular audience got my reference because I forgot where I was.
Yeah,
which is
you
why
forgot your place.
why My Fair Lady is relevant because I'm the Eliza Doolittle in this situation.
Yeah. All right, go.
So my third and final pick was also a financial bomb, but it is considered a classic to this day.
What?
Hairspray.
Well, the updated version is considered a classic, right?
No, the 1988 version.
Wasn't it? Actually, it was one of his most successful films.
It opened in 10th place.
Hey, did you see the other ones?
What?
The movies before that. I'm pretty sure that was one of his more fun.
No, no, you're completely right.
Right.
In terms of success, this is probably
That's probably one of his most open success
But
films.
it opened up in 10th place, only making $577,000 opening weekend. Movie had a budget of $2 million and made $6,671,000 back.
Yeah.
So it technically was a success. So yeah, it was his most successful film
For him.
Yeah. But yeah, 10th place. Good Morning Vietnam was number 1, and that was followed by Frantic, Shoot to Kill, Moonstruck, and 3 Men and a Baby. Action Jackson was in 7th place.
But that had Carl Weathers, and he was
Action Jackson.
And that was directed by Craig R. Baxley.
If I'm not mistaken, the villain is Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson. You know, I've never seen the movie. I've only seen scenes.
I have seen the movie. I don't remember.
I can roll all that information off Craig R. Baxley and the whole 9 yards, but I've actually only seen scenes.
So what the movie is about this.
They all know what it's
Yeah,
about.
everybody who's listening to this
I'm
knows
not.
about. Just a really quick synopsis in 2 or 3 sentences. It's about a overweight girl who's not popular, who gets on to a popular dance show in Baltimore, and uses that platform to fight racism.
And who is in Baltimore? Who's from Baltimore?
John Waters.
And who was John Waters?
John Waters is the writer and director of this movie.
I'm sorry, that was the only part I was trying to get at. Because I think he gets lost when it comes to the Travolta and the lady.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets proper credit for all that.
The movie's underlying theme is through music, we can spread messages of love and tolerance. The movie is based around the city of Baltimore, John Waters' hometown.
Mm-hmm.
The city was very well known for its rampant racism, and John Waters explored this with his 2 biggest talents, camp and comedy.
Yep.
Some of the great and there's too many writers of the songs to mention, but Hairspray, Dancing Party, The Bird, and Shake a Tail Feather are some of the best songs in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Ray Charles Shake a Tail Feather, is it?
No.
because that's in another musical.
Tail feather.
Did you know the movie's actually based on a short story that John Waters wrote for his about his love for the dance show during his time, the Buddy Dean Show, called "Ladies and Gentlemen, the Nicest Kids in Town," which appeared in his book Crackpot: The Obsessions of John Waters. Came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Hold on, I lost my place. So, did you know that Divine, who played the mother, was not the original cat he wanted for that movie?
No, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was wrote for Divine.
No, well, eventually. But when he first started developing the movie, he wanted Christine Jorgensen to play that. Which, if you don't know who Christine Jorgensen, you don't know who Christine Jorgensen is?
You're going to tell me, and then I'll go, oh my God, I know who
No,
that
Christine
is.
Jorgensen is the first person to go through gender reassignment surgery.
Well, we're talking about the same guy that got Patty Hearst in the movies.
Yes. Do you also know you would also know Christine Jorgensen from Ed Wood? That was the inspiration for Glenn or Glinda.
Oh, okay. But I'm correct, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's not above taking people there.
Right.
He gave Tracy Lords kind of her
Big break.
straight movie, right?
Yep. But the movie was rewritten because John Waters, again, I'm going to use the word ingenue, was Divine. The movie was what made Divine famous, but sadly, she only got to experience it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, she died.
She died 2 weeks after the movie was released.
Did she die of a heart attack?
Yes.
Speaking of the word Chad keeps using, my favorite type of roast beef sandwich comes with ingenue. Yep.
By the way,
Dip it.
one fascinating part about this. By the way, I read this. All this information came from an LA Times article that was written about the anniversary of Hairspray. Ricky Lake, Divine did not like Ricky Lake because Divine wanted to play all the parts. She wanted to play the dad, the mother, and the
and
daughter.
she had played multiple parts in John Waters' movies before then too.
Right. And in this movie, he plays the dad and the mom. So no, he doesn't. He plays. No, he doesn't.
No, the dad is played by Jerry
Stiller.
Jerry Stiller. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he does play a male character in that movie as well. One other fascinating part about this? So after they connected and Divine fell in love with Ricky Lake, and he taught her how to do various things like walk in high heels. Did you know Divine high heels? The heel was actually made of pure steel because
of his weight.
Because of his weight. Because every time
I wouldn't have done that, but I would have known that from Kinky Boots.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he had to wear steels because every time he'd wear real heels, they'd snap. But Waters noted that the film was doing well at the box office. Again, this is what 10th place he considers well.
It would have been. It would have been
for him. Yes,
big hit for him.
It was doing well at the box office until Divine's death. This is a direct quote from Waters. I hate to say it, but sudden death is not a good move or business for a comedy, which I disagree with, because if somebody dies, usually the box office
can sometimes.
Yeah. We had just done a tour all over the country, so basically newscasts cut from the news of me and Divine giving interviews at the premiere to me carrying the coffin. This doesn't make you run to the movie. No, it's just a really good movie. I loved it as a kid. The songs kept me going, and plus it had a really important message about tolerance that John Waters managed to sneak into this campy movie about teenagers singing on a show.
Yeah, and
the ironic, this might not be irony, but
it'll be at least Alanis Morissette irony.
The inspiration for this movie, which was the Buddy Dean Show, actually ended up being canceled because it refused to integrate.
It's called the corny. What is it? The corny whatever.
The Corny Collins Show.
Corny Collins. Okay.
By the way, Finian's Rainbow also addressed racism. Goodbye.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn? So I didn't write anything down. I was having a hard time. Like I said, I've been ill this week, but I was sitting. I was trying to figure out what I wanted my third movie to be, and I was going back between two. One of them really is one of my favorite films, which was not a box office hit, was Gervais, but I'm not going to do that one.
By the way, real quick, we do agree that even though we like Hairspray, you like Hairspray, right?
It's okay.
John Waters.
I'm not a big fan.
What's your favorite John Waters film?
Not Serial Mom. I know you're.
No. That's not.
Just to watch.
Yeah.
I really like Cecil B.
Demented. Knuckle it. Boom.
But
Serial Mom's a close second.
I think the reason being is because if you know anything about movies.
Yes. If you're a movie
and how
nerd,
movies are made.
Yes.
That's That movie's hilarious.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to get you off topic, but I
Right.
just wanted to talk
Don't
about
you
it.
agree, though?
Yeah, and we'll probably eventually do an episode on John
Yeah,
Waters.
it's over there on the.
Oh, it is? Shit.
Well, John Peters is.
Yeah, I was gonna say John
Waters on there as well.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to get you off
And by the way, buy his books; they're hilarious.
Yes.
And you go see his one man show. I like John Waters more than I actually do his movie.
Yep.
I'm more of a fan of
Oh,
him.
he can project
Getting off topic.
things. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go.
No, he's a cultural icon unto himself.
The Creed.
So anyway, I'd like to talk about the Wizard of Oz, but I'm not going to. I think it's been talked about enough. If you're a fan, you're a fan. If you're not, you're not. And maybe we'll do something with it later on. One of the movies that I've enjoyed, I haven't watched in a long time. Since you did something a low budget, I am too. I'm going to talk about Repo, the Genetic Opera.
I was wondering which one of you was going to bring it up. I thought James would have.
I actually, that was one I was going to pass on because I've mentioned it before, but no, it needs to be talked about. Hit it.
I got to meet Darren Lynn Bozeman because I did the Saw table. Thank you so much to Scarefest a couple years ago. He's a really nice guy. It's actually one of the first cons he's ever done with Scarefest. I don't know that I knew that till later.
Wow.
People should come to Scarefest.
What'd you say?
That's why people should come to Scarefest.
Yeah.
Scarefest.
People should go to Scarefest. However, Tony Todd announced, who's actually been to Scarefest a couple times before. Anyway,
I wasn't there for it though.
Darren Lynn Bozeman.
Yeah.
He actually did a rock theater before he was making movies. And this wasn't a new thing. The Saw franchise being a hit gave him the opportunity to do this. He and Terry, and I'm going to butcher his name. I'm so sorry. Terry Zudnik, the guy who plays the embalmer, or the guy that runs around in the middle, the basically tells you the story.
Yeah.
He's the one who wrote the music.
Okay.
And they'd done it on stage beforehand, right?
Now, Chad, have you seen that?
I have just recently.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought you hadn't seen it last time.
Did you like it at all?
I'm sorry to say, guys, I did not care for it.
You didn't like any of the songs?
No.
Oh, I really did.
I could not get into it.
He's the grave robber. He plays the grave robber because I like
robber.
that actual song with Paris Hilton. Grave robber.
Yeah. The only time I could actually get into it is when the dad Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm blanking on his name.
Anthony Hill.
Anthony Hill.
Anthony Head, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
he can belt out a tune. So when he was singing, I was actually genuinely interested. But now that I just could not get into it, guys.
I recommend it. It's different. It is such an oddity. It's and I love when you talk about this all the time. It's a distinct voice. It is obviously a movie, and he did something later called The Devil's Carnival. The only letdowns to that are some of the songs are a little reachy.
Yeah, and Bill Moseley's.
Bill Moseley cannot sing.
No, God, it was painful to get through.
But Bill Moseley is, we're a fan of Bill Moseley on the show, but I don't know that he can sing. But Repo, the Genetic Opera, it's basically in the future that, and then they did another movie called Repo Man that's slightly close to with
Jude Law.
And
and
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. Oh, and there was another movie like that as well that followed Repo.
Yeah. So in the future, you can have work done, update your organs, have facial work, but if you can't pay it off, then the Repo Man comes and takes it away.
And they add the caveat too that there was a plague.
Yeah.
So there's some people have to have this. So it's not just they add the added layer of it's not just vanity, it's survival.
Yeah.
But if you can't make your payments.
It's I don't know that's one of my favorite musicals, but it's definitely one you should check out, especially if you're into rock opera. So if you enjoy movies such as, I'm trying to think of something that would be
Tommy,
probably Phantom of the Paradise,
Rock and Roll Mom with Diane Cannon,
Rockula,
Rock and Roll High School.
Rock and Roll High School. No, I don't. I think
totally
different. Because we could talk about Rock and Roll High School. We could talk about the Blues Brothers. We could talk about a half a dozen.
Yeah, all musicals.
I'm going to pat myself on the head for the Rock and Roll Mom.
Yeah,
thank you.
I wouldn't.
God, that's a terrible.
So
movie.
check it out. There's some good songs in it. Every once in a while, I rewatch. I actually think Paul Sorvino does a really good job in a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
But he has that booming. He's an opera singer
Yeah.
in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and I think the thing about that movie that works too is that I like it because none of the characters are likable.
Nobody in that movie.
Everybody has betrayed somebody. Everybody has done terrible things.
Mm-hmm. But I will say that some of the acting probably doesn't hold up.
Right.
And the other side,
slightly miscast, and probably not Paris Hilton, by the way.
Well, the other side of that is it is operatic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's a rock opera.
and if you look at what most operas are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it did a pretty
you're,
good job of being an opera.
You're absolutely right. And I eventually watched The Devil's Carnival, which is not a full length film. He actually traveled with The Devil's Carnival. It would play, the movie would play, and then there was a live show that went along with it. But check them out, James.
I'm going to end. I literally had a bunch written down, but as I was sitting here thinking about it, it's probably the musical that I've seen the most and that I go back to. Matter of fact, actually, in probably the last 3 months, I've watched it twice, maybe.
Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
No,
I thought you were going to talk about that one.
from the day
Trying to do
he was
something.
born, not the night, but the day, he was trouble. He was a thorn in his mother's side. Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. And what's funny is I was raised very conservatively. I joke that my parents are Puritans. I was not introduced to this film till college, which is probably a time when you should be introduced to this
That's
film.
senior year of high school is when I was introduced to it.
I have seen it live several times.
No, wait, it was actually college.
You've seen it more than live several times. You going to tell the story?
I was going to say, I saw
Because
it. So
everyone, let's be honest here. Everyone knows the plot. Most of the people who are listening to us should know the plot to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
if you
There's
don't,
not
really,
Not
really
much of a
quick,
plot.
really quick, it's a tribute to old 50s sci-fi films
Yeah.
and horror films. It actually was filmed at Oakley Court, which was used in the Hammer horror films.
Yep.
And it's basically a young engaged couple's car breaks down. I love the line. Didn't we pass a castle just a little bit ago? Because people say that. It's set during the Nixon administration.
Yep.
And they're two clean-cut American kids. And they go back to this castle where there's a meeting and a scientist has created new life just for sexual purposes. And it follows them having to deal with that and some sexual awakening.
I
and
think they
things
get
like
it
that.
from this point on. And
Yeah,
Meatloaf shows up.
Yeah.
And Meatloaf shows up.
And there's an amazing song.
And then
about
later he's
Morphing
made
Time.
into Meatloaf.
Everybody has meatloaf with mashed
Yeah.
potatoes.
That's a tender subject. I love this movie. I think partially because that's actually the line in the movie. But I love the movie because it does have the longest running theatrical release because it still shows. And it has still showed consistently at some theaters.
Oh, it's going to be replaced by that Cats.
No,
Anyway,
it
keep
won't.
going.
But Rocky Horror Picture Show it's famous now because people talk back to the screen and all that stuff.
In the
But-
Shadowcast.
The Shadowcast, yeah. And that's how I wasn't in the Shadowcast, but I had a friend who was a resident advisor with me that played Frankenfurter. And that's the first time I saw it at the historic Kentucky. I had a blast. And now, to be honest, if I'm grading or something, I can put it on. And like Chad talked about with Hedwig and the Angry Inch, there's just songs in it that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I have Time Warp. I have Time Warp on my iPod. So
Well, and I love the
You have
science
an
fiction.
iPod?
yeah.
Yeah. I want one for my car because my car is old and it'll work with it. But science fiction double feature if you're a big science fiction geek, and I am.
Yeah.
I love to go back. I've seen all the movies now that it mentions. And the British cut has the superhero song, which if you've only seen the American cut, see the British cut. Superhero song is short, but it's really good. But it again is just all about these people coming to terms. I think it's culturally significant because of the LGBTQ impact that it had.
Yeah.
There's been books that have studied that, and so some people now argue that it's getting dated because there's some negative connotations that go with it, but it had a very important role at that time. Richard O'Brien wrote it. It was not a hit when it came out.
No, it bombed horribly.
Bombed. Critics hated it.
However,
that being said,
go ahead. I've got a bit of trivia for you for it.
that being said, most of the cast of the film, so Nell Campbell and Patricia Quinn,
Yeah.
Lil Nell, and Tim Curry were all in the original cast.
Yep.
So
And
they
Meatloaf.
just carried
Meatloaf,
forward.
I think, was in the original cast too.
So again, this it had some impact, and even it impacted the punk rock scene of how people wore different clothing and things like that. So But I'll be honest, I go with the musical side of it.
Yeah.
It is. I like the music.
2 quick trivia points about it. One, so a couple of those people, particularly Patricia O'Quinn's been in Rob Zombie films. He was asked about which actor has he not got to work with. Richard O'Brien.
Really?
It's never worked out. So I'm often wondering, the fuck is Richard O'Brien doing? He can't go, all right, Rob, I'll come over in 2 days.
Casting them Dark City chicks. Actually, this is true. So there was a sequel.
Yes.
Shock
There was?
Treatment.
Yeah, Shock.
Shock Treatment. I have the 2-disc set. It came with
I've seen
Shock
it.
Treatment.
I've never seen it.
It's got one good song in it. It's a bitchin' in the kitchen or blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
But interestingly enough, and just if you're curious about this, there is technically a third one.
How did I not know that there was a sequel?
It's not been made, but it has been. So Shock Treatment came out. It was, again, poorly received by critics and audiences. It didn't do as well.
Yeah.
Curry, Sarandon, and Bostwick didn't return,
No.
which was a big deal breaker for most people. But it does have a small cult following, nowhere near as big as the original. But
Yeah. Some people dress up as the one guy. He looks like the Undertaker. I can't remember his name.
But 10 years after Shock Treatment came out, so this would have been about, 91? Yeah, 91.
Yeah, Shock Treatment came out in the 80s.
Richard O'Brien made a direct sequel, and he called the script is out there, called Revenge of the Old Queen. And they had started pre-production, but unfortunately, studio head Joe Roth, who had put it into pre-production, got kicked out at Fox in 1993. The script is now owned by Fox, which means it is now owned by
Disney.
Which means we'll never see it.
We'll never see it. There is, however, O'Brien has worked on another one called Rocky Horror: The Second Coming. But he last worked on that. The last update on that came from 2001. There was a first draft of the script read by Terry Jones.
So one other bit of trivia about this. One year, because it wasn't a success and then it caught on later for midnight showings, one year it was so popular, and this was in the 70s now, when 20th Century Fox also owned Star Wars, that they made so much money off of Rocky Horror one year that it paid for the prints. How you used to actually have to go, they paid for the lab that was expensive, the cans of film that went to these theaters.
Right.
It paid for the prints for all the movies for 20th Century Fox that year.
Wow.
That were released. So I've read. I don't know if that's true. I've just read it.
But no,
It's an obscure bit of knowledge if it isn't true, but
Right.
who makes that lie up?
But one of the songs that really gets to me in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it got to me the first time I saw it. It still gets to me today. And I've actually told my wife, not jokingly, I said, you can play that at my funeral, is I'm Going Home.
Yeah, I think if you take
And
it
we
out
are
of
so totally
context-
going to dress you up in lingerie.
I put that in the will,
Can we
Chad.
do it
You
there?
don't have to- you're
Yeah,
not,
sure, why not? We'll
you're
give
not upsetting me. I put it in the will.
I mean, it'd be really sad if we didn't do the eulogy for the other ones.
Yeah.
But no,
Don't you think? That'd be kind
the
of sad.
lyrics on that, I don't know. Every time I hear them, as a matter of fact, actually, I've got it on CD and I play it in my car when I'm driving home. That and
Right.
Eastbound and Down. That's true. Literally, I'm the only person that went, okay, I'm going home.
Eastbound and Down.
Tearful, mournful kind of song. I've seen blue skies through the tears in my eyes. Follow that up with Eastbound and Down.
And then that's followed up with the Mighty Quinn.
I've rarely ever went on a vacation where we were driving where that wasn't the song that started out as we pulled out of the driveway. Eastbound and Down. But what notable mentions do we have? And really quick, I don't know if I want to tell it on here. If you're listening, if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, find us at a convention or ask us, and we might tell the story about. We actually have James and I have a Rocky Horror story with Haley as well.
Yeah.
So Scarefest, Barry Bostwick, ask us sometime. What are your honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'll let James go because I want to see if any of my honorable
Go,
mentions
James.
mentioned on your all's list.
My honorable mentions. There's only one that was made as a musical. It was a musical made off a book. My other two honorable mentions you'll know pretty quickly. But my last one is Once on This Island, which I had never heard of.
I actually saw the play, or saw the musical, and I hated it.
I'd never heard of it till my daughter was cast in it,
Yeah,
and she played a peasant girl.
yeah,
She
I
plays a
hated
peasant
it.
girl at the end. And if Joe, basically the summary of it is, and by the way, we actually had the conversation with my daughter. Is if you turn out like the girl, the protagonist in this play, we're gonna beat the living daylights out of
Yeah.
you. Because but basically the story is it's a metaphor
That
for
was a quick
society.
list.
It's a metaphor for society where there's the wealthy and the unwealthy.
Yeah.
And in the play, the original version of the musical, it basically was dark complected and light complected. But now
Yeah.
they do it more as a class play, class examination. But poor girl saves a rich man from dying, falls in love with her, or falls in love with him, basically pursues him the rest, and literally at the end starves to death waiting for him to come out again.
So I saw it live, hated it, and I can never remember the name of it. So every time I think of it, I always think This Island Earth.
So I didn't know anything about it. What I do like about it
Oh my God! What's your other honorable mentions?
is I like the gods. The god songs are cool
Yeah.
in Once on This Island because the God of Death has some good tunes. My other ones, they're the ones that are based on movies. Spam-A-Lot. I love Spam-A-Lot. I love what Eric Idle added.
It's not a movie.
That's not a musical movie.
No, but it's a musical. That's why I said it was a movie that became a musical.
All right.
And the
what
last one is one that was a movie, became a musical, and became a movie. Get the producers.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
When you've got it, flaunt it.
Yeah.
What's yours?
No, go. I don't have a list.
Oh,
Go.
So the first one, Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
I can't. I actually am shocked James didn't do it.
I know I am too.
I left it off because I was trying to do musicals that became movies. That's
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
That one's
Yeah.
good. I tell you that was not also not a huge hit when it came out. And I remember seeing that Friday night and
Yeah.
kids walking out,
Yeah.
and their parents pulling them out of it. It's like, what the hell? Did you not know?
Yeah,
what this
wow.
was?
Well, I love
It is a lot of music in it. Of course,
Yeah.
South Park has a lot of music.
Yeah.
in it.
I love the they interviewed them after it came out about it not being a huge hit. I mean, it made money for Comedy
It made
Central.
money, but it was not what
But
South Park
one-
was a phenomenal.
Academy Award nominated too.
Yeah, Robert Williams sang it.
Yeah. But what's funny about it is they interviewed Matt Stone and Trey Parker afterwards, and they said, we can't prove this 100%, but we bet some of that Wild Wild West money was actually South Park money
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet.
of kids buying tickets and then sneaking into the theater.
I don't doubt it.
Yep. This one's really not a musical, but it has a musical number in it. Labyrinth.
No,
You think that's a musical?
It's been a long time. See, I don't like Labyrinth as much as I did as a kid.
See,
I watched it a few years
It
ago.
doesn't. It doesn't have hold up.
There's not much of a plot.
No, there isn't much of a plot, but I still enjoy it. So I kind
Yeah.
of that's one of those movies from my childhood that I know
It's not as dense as The Dark Crystal.
yes, which is amazing. I haven't watched the new Netflix
I haven't
show
either.
yet. The Wiz. I'm a big fan of the Wiz.
Really?
Yes, I love.
But you don't like Wizard of Oz?
I like the Wiz. Moving on down the road, I could. That song's amazing. I love the Wiz.
It's directed by the whitest guy ever, Sidney Lumet.
But yeah, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a damn good one.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I love Sweeney Todd. I love everything about Sweeney Todd
That's a good one.
and Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge is a good one.
Yeah, I can't. Moulin Rouge actually.
Baz Luhrmann's a talented guy.
Yeah, Moulin Rouge was actually one of those movies like I refused to watch because like I don't want to listen to a fucking musical, and then I watched it and I could not stop it.
Yeah.
It's pure ADD. That's what it is. Just
Oh.
one thing, boom, 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 boom.
And I said I tried to stick
But it's
to
a love
ones that-
story.
It is a love story. TV.
I tried to do ones that, like I said, for
Karen
me,
Bronchitis.
the requirement I put on myself was doing ones that had been Broadway, then became movies. That being said, if you're going for movies that are heavily musical, I would add in the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man, I
love
Muppets.
The
the
Muppet.
Muppet movie.
Yeah, the Muppet movie. I agree. Specifically, the Muppet movie.
I was going to say, and I speaking of
Jason
songs I have.
Stewart Muppet movie is amazing too in terms
Yeah,
of
it has
musical
some
numbers.
good. It has some good. ones.
Well, but
I can't believe I didn't put that on my list.
the songs that
You
I
did.
love from the Muppet movie.
Go pick that up. Rainbow Connection.
Nope.
The songs that I love and everybody talks about Rainbow Connection. I love Can You Picture That by the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah.
I have it on CD in my car. It's another one. It's literally, if you're ever wondering what I'm listening to, it's either books on tape as I drive the long
Moving
trip
right
home.
along.
But yeah,
Fan
right along.
free. Getting there is half the fun. Come cheer.
I
And
can't
then,
believe I didn't make that
what
on my
is
list.
the
I don't know.
what is the? I mean, also again, it can be very, very depressing in some ways. But Gonzo's song, "There's Not a Word Yet" for old friends who just met.
Yeah.
So there's just so many great words that are delivered lyrically in the Muppet movie that it is brilliant.
I'm thinking of a ton. I will say The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. It was a movie that I watched a lot as a kid. I know I like Burt Reynolds, but it has a lot of
Burt Reynolds
songs.
cannot sing.
No, but it has a lot of great songs in it that are easy enough for a kid to remember,
Yeah.
and it has some dance numbers. Enjoyed it quite a bit. All right, guys.
Do you think, and literally just wrapping this up, where I started with my first one, like I said, never saw Finian's Rainbow, and now that I've watched it once, part of me wonders, do you think the reason that did become a hit was the drug culture?
Maybe at the right time. I don't know. Dr. Dolittle wasn't a hit that came around sometime around that too. People have a different memory of it later.
That's what some people.
It was
are saying.
actually that's a whole other episode of late '60s studio system breaking down.
Well, and that was the last thing, and that's the other thing about Finian.
What'd you say?
That's the other thing about Finian's Rainbow. It has been recognized as the last of the studio music.
Yeah, that was that, and that's
It's
another
the last one.
That's actually the reason I know it, James. That and Coppola, and the reason I tried to watch it is because of the historical reference of it, just because I like the history of cinema.
Well, and it's again.
I'm still shocked that you didn't know anything about it.
I have a little bit of a soft spot for it, I think, too, because Fred Astaire.
Yeah,
and not that I'm a huge Fred Astaire fan, but if you watch quote unquote classic films that involve dance, you have to know Fred Astaire.
Really quick, for our people out there, we missed a ton, and I tried to do a little bit of historical, but I wasn't actually making fun of Busby Berkeley. That dude was a genius. Check out some musicals. Look that up.
And James Cagney, I mentioned earlier too. Everybody thinks James Cagney as
a gangster, but he was a dancer. Yeah,
he was, and the musicals he was in are the one that used to be part of the Disney ride. You ain't seen nothing yet, and then it cuts to.
And another one I love quite a bit is Singing in the Rain. I know it's a cliche to say it, but I do love Singing in the Rain.
Well, it's technically brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, the structure.
And if you know the history
and what they did to Debbie Reynolds,
well,
is that yeah,
it is Debbie Reynolds, but I don't know the whole story.
Oh, they tortured.
Listen. It's a well-known fact that when these movies were made, if you were a woman in a musical, you were going to suffer. Once again, you're the one that always talks about how terrible Rex Harrison was.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and he had a temperature of 102 when he did Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
the show.
This is going to close to a 2-hour episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Let us know your comments. Tweet us, Facebook us, YouTube us, iHeartRadio us.
I know.
Comments. Please share us. Please subscribe.
I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but I wanted to ask one question to wrap us up.
What?
If you were given carte blanche, what one property would you want to make into a musical? An existing property.
I look over and I see The Evil Dead, but I've already seen it as the Evil Dead musical, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but that's a play.
Yeah.
I mean, stage. What about RoboCop?
That's a good one.
I don't know.
What
I'm going to say Ghostbusters.
Opera?
Ghostbusters. Huh?
Wasn't there a cartoon episode that had more music in it?
I don't know. The Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I thought there was a musical episode.
There might be.
Alien, that'd be a good one.
There was the Halloween episode. There was the special Halloween episode that had quite a bit of music in it. So that might be what you're thinking.
That may be what I'm having flashbacks.
Because the ghost of that episode was a rock and roll singing monster. So yes.
There is a lot of horror down here.
And that's
they make some good movies.
And that episode is actually what killed the animated series. But we digress.
Big Trouble in Little China.
That may work as a musical.
Yeah, that may work as a musical.
I had that question. I don't have an answer myself, but I wanted to ask you all because I think that
I honest to God, you've asked me, and it's that scene of you're just looking around the room. I'm looking around the room thinking of things.
Yeah.
The fog,
Lamp, the musical, Roll of Paper Towels, the musical.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. This has been Bonehead. He said, coughing.
Said TB, it's a killer.
Oh my God, I caught it from that one lady,
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Is her name Moulin Rouge?
She wears the rouge.
Yeah, she gets the rouge from coughing up the blood in her hand, rubbing it on her cheeks.
Stop recording.